Good morning. This is training is dealing with rolling out and monitoring routines. It was a training that originally occurred in September of this year, 2018, and it was hosted after school by Miss Tina Harris, myself, and Mr. Lou Diddler of the A2E2 grant. Now, our agenda really is um, our learner objective is we will discuss elements needed to create an efficient procedure based on Teach Like a Champion. And then our closing product, the ideal that what we want to produce at the end is I will create an infographic or needed procedure that is simple, quick, largely silent, and closely planned. We're going to complete a do now, which is a T-chart Venn diagram activity. We'll talk about engineering efficiency, and then we'll talk about some high behavioral expectations. Now, take a little time to review all the routines and procedures listed here, all the way from entering the classroom down to dismissal procedure. Create a T-chart. Your T-chart needs to have on one side what is established in your room. What have you rolled out to the students? You have practiced it and is a well-oiled machine. Put that on the left side. Which one of these procedures have you not addressed? Either you've not rolled it out, you've not mapped it out, you're not shared with the students, or you know you need to share with it or refine with your students. So the left side is established, what is good and happening in your class, and the right side would be what you need to work on in your class, what you need to roll on. So take some time and map that out. Identify. Try to go to each one of them on the list and put them either side. Now, ideally, what would happen here is in the training school we did, we had you pair up with someone else who did the same thing, who had the same procedure. And you will look at all the things that you have established and you create a Venn diagram. So in the center of the diagram, you put all the things that you guys had in common, all the procedures you had in common. One side will represent yours information, and then one side represent the other person. So all the commonalities within the center, whatever you are doing that the other person is not doing will be in the A portion, and whatever the other person is doing that you are not doing will be in the B portion. And then you'll discuss with each other what is working in your class, what's not working. Just take some time and think about, but since you're not with anyone, take some time to think about a neighboring teacher and try to identify what some things that they do that you do. And you can put that in the center. And then what are some things that they do that you don't do? You can put it on this B side. Just think about it. Now, when we talk about procedures, you have to know that there are three major types of procedures. You have behavioral procedures, academic procedures, and you have cultural procedures. You have to understand why you are creating the procedure. Is it to make sure that behavior is what is expected of the students? Is it because this is what we do academically? We have these certain procedures like note taking. This is how you note take. This is the procedure for taking notes. This is the procedure for talking turns. You have cultural things that just sets the environment. Certain things that you want your students to do to create a certain environment in your class, like tracking the speaker. So raising hands is a good one for behavior, but raising hand is also academic and can also be a cultural. So sometimes you'll have it where your procedures that you're trying to establish can be more than just one of those, fit in more than just one of those characteristics, okay, or those categories. Now, in this instance here, we have an example, a picture that shows a great example of an established procedure. This is called, there's two procedures actually going on based on Teach Like a Champion. You have thresholding occurring and you have strong start. Number one points to the teacher outside. And the teacher standing outside the room, and as the students pass her, she greets them. This is an important thing because what I found is that Sometimes students don't talk to anybody. No one speaks to them the whole day, let alone someone speaking to them in a positive manner, asking them how their day is. Okay, so notice how the students seem to be almost herded in a certain direction. And this is because apparently the teacher here has taught a procedure called Strong Start. And the Strong Start deals with what does the child have to do from the door all the way to the do now. You establish that procedure where, in this case, the students are walking in, that's number 2, and they're going to their, picking up their worksheet for that day, number 3, and then they're going to their seat, and then they're beginning their do now. That's what we call Strong Start. Now, in this picture, it also indicates where the students put their jackets. So when we think about what is the expectation for the students once they enter the room and begin working, that's all called Strong Start, and we have to map that out. The students are not going to know what you want them to do. They have, in our case, with 8 periods, they have 7 other teachers who have different expectations that has to be taught. Now, when we're dealing with a procedure, like we said here, this is 2 procedures. The teacher is thresholding, so she's talking to the student, and she's talking and expecting the students to respond in a certain way. And she's kind of checking them at the door to see what their spirit is like. She can pull them to the side if need be, address any kind of issues, address out of dress code issues or issues with maybe the student has been absent. You can ask them about that. You can ask them about all kinds of things before they even enter the class. This helps build rapport, but it also allows you to make sure that the students do not enter the room with the wrong spirit. So when we're talking about a procedure and making it efficient, we're talking about make sure the procedure does 4 things, or is composed of 4 things. 1, that is simple, cannot be convoluted. It is something they can do quickly, and it requires little narration from the teacher, and it has to be planned in detail. Now, here's an example of that from Teach Like a Champion. See how simple it is, how quickly they do it, how little narration.
But one thing I do want to work on is how to pass out papers, okay? I am going to pass papers on the row, and they're going to come over. The only person who needs to get out of their seat is my friend James, because James is a big space between James and Bruce. So let me show you what I will do. I will hand out, there's 4 people here. So I'm going to put 4 pieces of paper here. Denzel will take 1, and he'll hand the other stack to James. James will put 1 down, and James will quietly go to Bruce. Bruce will take 1, and he'll quietly give it to his friend, Mr. Sanford. It's an excellent job. It's exactly how it happened. 12 seconds. Back in 10. "11 seconds. Back out in 10. Back in 8. It's pretty good. All right, so one thing we're also going to do in this class, we have